Presenting Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top flight journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's sellers. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when Eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Hello and welcome everyone. Sorry, I don't know if maybe people are still in the other one, but hopefully they'll be here in a minute. But anyways, thank you all very much for tuning in as always. And this is the final one of the 24-25 season, because the ones thereafter will be either about both or about the upcoming season. Anyways, not joined by JC this time. I am joined by Rich. How are you, Rich?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. And for those in the chat, just give us a thumbs up if our audio is okay. We did get a comment saying that we're too loud, which is fine. This is what we need. We need that kind of feedback if things are not sounding good or not looking good, because obviously we want to give you the best product possible. So yeah, please let us know. But other than that, I'm good. I'm good.
Lovely, excellent. And yeah, this is a tactical review of the season just gone. But one thing I'm going to touch on it to start with, just to get it out of the way, because I know people will be concerned, and I know there will be comments. So I'm just going to put the rules for UEFA on here. No, I'm not, because it's not coming up for some reason. Why is it not doing that? All right, there we go. So they're the rules for UEFA's ownership. Have a look at that. In my honest opinion, the only things that apply to us are these two. And to be honest, the only one I think could be a problem is this. These ones, I think there's demonstrable evidence that John Textor does not have controlling influence over Crystal Palace. So B is the only one I could foresee maybe being an issue, but I'm going to leave it at that, and that is it. If anyone wants to pause it, take a screenshot, whatever, do that. It's there, and there'll be no more questions about it unless we get some time at the end or something. But anyways, let's move on. Actually, Rich, what do you think? Do you think there's much to it than that? Or I mean, personally, I think it's just a guy on Daily Mail just trying to stir the pot a little bit for likes.
Yeah, to be honest, that's how I was thinking until the Athletic decided to chime in. But I think either way we'll come to some sort of resolution about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've been saying that there's like a March 1st deadline that we missed. But I think that was also due to the fact that who've ever thought we were winning the FA Cup?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think we should be able to get this over the line, to be honest. So,
absolutely. And so I'm just deleting the two scheduled ones on there. So the only 24-25 tactical review is the one that you are on. So
yes,
you're not on it.
In doing a madness, because what we do is we what do you call it? We schedule the streams in advance, and then we've been entering the studio all this week, and it's not allowing us to go live. So then we have to start a whole new setup and set up on the stream. Yeah, so apologies for like lateness and stuff. And yep, Dan's mouse is loud.
Yeah, I know. So I've started using the mouse pad. So hopefully there won't be as much clicking anymore. Cozzy, I'm not really too sure. As I said, we've been having a lot of technical issues this week for some reason. Like, it's just not starting. So this is the only stream that's on here now. The other ones have been deleted. I don't know, there's something going wrong with the software, but this is the only one now. And David, I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, none of us know apart from whoever goes to that meeting. I mean, it's more than simple. But we don't know. But in my opinion, according to the rules, I can't really see what we've broken. But anyways, let's move on to something a bit more cheery. And I actually had something that I wanted to start off with. Okay, and it is kind of tactical in a way. I don't know if you recognise this, Rich, but this is the.
Was this the Ali McCoist one?
Not Ali McCoist. This is Alan Shearer's one on BBC, and this is his commentary on that after we've scored the goal. That really, really is an impressive goal. The ball up to Mateo, the centre forward play to hold it up, and then the running off the ball for Munoz, then the quality to pick his head up and pick the right pass into Eze. Could he finish it? Absolutely. Keeper's got no chance. And then my favourite part about this whole segment, that is Crystal Palace in a nutshell. And I just wanted to start off with that quote because I think it sets the tone nicely, and I think it kind of shows, what we've been trying to do this season. And before we go into like the actual tactical details, there is one thing that I want to do, and I just want to show you the comparisons from last season to this season. And for everyone here, there is a spreadsheet. So,
Dan loves spreading the sheets.
No comment. But so these are the spreadsheets for. So the way I do this is I have last season's data, so the expected goals and the actual goals scored and the amount of points we got for each game. So these are the ones for the home games last season. These are for the home games this season. And then long story short, I do the same with the away, and it ends up with this. So you can see the difference in the expected goals and expected goals against. And generally what I do as well is I'll swap out the relegated teams for the promoted side. So, for example, the Burnley games from last season or the Ipswich games this season, etc., etc. And you know what? It looks really...
You said,
good.
As you can see, you haven't shared it.
Oh, is it not there? Oh, sorry. I thought I clicked on it. My bad. Oh, I've been waffling away. Right. So I'll do that again. So I have last season's data, this season's data, make the difference between them, and then do that for home and away, and you get the differences. And you've got, as I said, I swap out the promoted teams with the relegated teams and so on. And you know what? There's a lot of green here. I'm really liking that. Rich, is there anything that strikes you about that? Got the combined. This is the total combined for the whole season. So basically, it means that we've scored 4 less goals than last season, but we've conceded 5 less, and so on and so forth. And then this is the away, and this is the home.
It's the obvious thing to me, and like I'm no expert in spreadsheets like you are and stuff, but if you just look at the comparison from our home and our away form's been unreal.
Yeah, I mean that improvement in away form is ridiculous. I mean,
it's crazy.
Like, because what that's saying is this season we've created 9.5 more XG. We conceded 2.4 less, and what that translates to in actual goals, a goal difference of 14. We've scored 9 more this season, conceded 5 fewer this season compared to last season. And I think, obviously, I know last season was partially comparison with Roy, but obviously Glasser was there for half the season, so it's a partial him and Roy. So, right, there you go. Look. There's it zoomed in. And then, if anyone wants to, enjoy that a bit more, that's that. But the crux of it, basically, we have very much improved, except in one aspect, which will be covered soon. Now, Rich, do you want to go first, or should I? Because the first thing I was going to talk about is that thing that we didn't improve on, the finishing.
Yeah, go on then. It's a nice segue because you did mention it.
All right. So these were some things. So I think I don't know about you, Rich, but when in the first sort of 13 games, I didn't think we played too badly. I thought getting what was it like? I can't remember how many points it was now. Like 6 points, I think, in those first 13 games. I felt like that was unfair, and I felt like it was quite reflective of our poor finishing. I mean, how do you feel about that?
The question is actually, do we look at it as poor finishing or do we look at it as poor defending? Because I think they both culminated in us not picking up as many points. Mm-hmm. Even with that Brentford game start of the season, yes, we conceded a terrible goal to start off with, but then I think we actually took control of the game.
Yeah.
You know, and granted, like, had Ebbs's goal stood, because we were on the momentum was with us. Like, I think we could have pushed on from there, and then it took another silly goal to concede to kind of throw it all away. Plus, Edouard had a goal disallowed for offside. It kind of shows. I think there was a lot more points in there for us. It's just disappointing in the manner in both defensively and in the attacking phase that we couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think. And I'll just focus on the finishing for now, right? So I will zoom in. Don't worry. So basically, these are all the game. This is every game of the season, right? Ranked by basically the difference between the amount of chances we created versus the actual goals that we scored, right? So basically, what I'm saying here is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games, we actually outscored our the chances that we created, right? But that means, therefore,
25.
Yeah. And when you look at it in terms of a graph like this, this is a 4-game rolling average. So basically, so the first 4 games, and then the second to 5th game, and then 3rd to 6th game, and so on. This was our rolling average for that. So basically,
that graph looks stinky.
So yeah, but that's basically what it is. It's like over this time, right? We have underscored, and on average, like on the rolling average for this, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data points out of 35 that suggests that we outscored. I know it's crazy. It is crazy, well, isn't it?
You say about the iceberg theory.
Yeah,
success you don't see.
No, absolutely. And wow. Do you know what's crazy, right? And I didn't know this, right, until I looked it up, right. So obviously, we had a very good we know that we had a very good defense this year, blah blah blah. But actually, if you look at like where we finished for the amount of goals we conceded and also like the expected goals, etc., we actually finished like mid-table for our defense. Do you know where we finished, right? In terms of chance creation for XG in the league?
After that, throughout the whole season, you mean?
Yeah, through the whole season.
I think we'll be we're in the top 8.
6th. We're 6th. We're 6th. The only teams who have created more chances than us are Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Bournemouth, and Newcastle. They're the only teams. So Arsenal, and Brentford, Spurs, Brentford.
You mentioned if it was a stream or if it was just to us, but in Nketiah, his XG was he had like plus 10 or something for missed chances or something like that.
I think that was JC that said that. Okay. Actually, I will say so that so effectively the effect of that. So we create basically with the XG we create enough for 60 goals this season, but we only scored 51. Is the effect? But the thing is, right, and it's like okay, like I know this is going to sound like a really obvious point. But you look at these games where we underscored, and the funniest one I find we underscored, right, was when we beat Villa 4-1. We actually underscored in that game in terms of the chances we created. But you look at like the games that are down here, right? So you've got, Ipswich we won. But then you've got like the Forest draw, Fulham loss. Like you look at the games that we let's say, I don't know, not this kind of bracket here, right? So that's how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So of these 17 games that we've underscored by more than 0.5, we've only won 4 of those. And we've drawn 5. And we've lost, what's that, 6, 7.
Sorry, Dad. Maybe because I've got the chat. Then maybe I have to move the chat. But of those 17, I'm just wondering. Oh, so it was the Ipswich game which we massively underscored our XG.
Yeah. But it's looking at the other games, and I just think like it's the effect of like, even if you do it, say like a little bit each game. Actually, even if you take, say, let's go a bit more extreme and just take these games here, right, with the more than one underscored.
That's a lot still. That's still a lot.
Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. So what's that, like a quarter of the season? And you look at those games as well, right? The only 2 wins that we got were against teams who were crap. Do you know what I mean? Like against a terrible Spurs team who didn't really care, and against Ipswich who really, we should have been beaten. And the effect of this as well is just simply that, if we do finish our chart, I know this is going to sound like a really Michael Owen point to make, but if we finish those chances, we get more points. So let's go back to like these games and we look at those games that we've lost. Okay, Arsenal, we got comfortably beaten. But like Everton at home, for example, Leicester at home, Newcastle at home, even if you say like you upgrade and say we got a draw against Everton and we beat Leicester and we beat Newcastle, that's an extra 5 points. And I think the point I'm trying to drum in here is just simply that we need to be better at finishing if we want to be higher in the table and we want this. I mean, I think it's incredible that we've had the underscoring that we have had to then actually finish with the amount of points that we have. Like we've broken our record tally, and yet we've underscored massively in so many games. Now let's actually let's have a look at what FB Ref thinks is the biggest offenders in our team. Then let's have a look. So the biggest offenders in our team are, so not including penalties, and I love, right, the player with the player with the best conversion rate this season is Trevor Chalobah.
That's mad.
And like you look at all the players who are actually in the green. They're all players either who have barely played. I mean, Mateta broke even, so that's fine. Or roughly broke even. But you got Devaney, SA, Chilwell. Okay, Gay obviously played quite a lot. But like Chilwell, SA, França, Devaney, it's not like they've had a lot of opportunities to actually score, really. So the biggest. So
there we go.
Oh, was it not?
You're talking about it and not showing it.
I did it again. Sorry. I clicked the wrong one, didn't I? Sorry, yeah. So Trevor Chalobah is number 1, lol. And you look at all the other players who are actually in the positive. They're all players who, obviously Gay's a defender, and then the other 4 just didn't really have loads of minutes, so therefore didn't have loads of shots. Mateta did break even. But then you look at all these players who scored less theoretically than their chances.
Oh, so who's bottom? That's Sarr, isn't it?
It's actually Ismaila Sarr, and then it's Nketiah, and then it's Lacroix. Because that's the thing, like, I think back to it, we had a lot of opportunities where from a corner we've done very well, and he's just, it's been a good opportunity and it's been kind of headed over the bar. And then, you look at all the other players, and then the thing is, all those players, it all adds up, really, and then that's how you end up with, we don't have the worst conversion rate in the league. That is actually Man United, but we are second worst.
That says it all.
Yeah.
That says it all.
But just to drum that in, need to do better next season. It's we done very well to get the points that we did.
Boy. Do you have any additional comments then?
Let's have a look. Sorry, I haven't gone through. So So guys, yeah, there was a section at the beginning with the rules on there. So if you want to just have a look, like obviously you can scroll back to it. My opinion is I think it's all a bit of a storm in a teacup, but we'll see. Is this a seasonal difference or a Glasner difference? I would almost certainly say a Glasner difference. He's had more time with the players, and I think it's I think that's what it is. Can we continue our way form? Is it down to the play style? I think that's a good question. I'm going to say yes, because I feel like we do sit back and we like to hit teams on the counter, and I think that does tend to suit away games more, because obviously the onus is on the home team to obviously
That's a good point.
do better. So that's my guess. Although I've got a feeling I didn't split the finishing up in home and away, but I think our home finishing was especially not great. Let's see. So we had a bad first and final third goal. In terms of doing our conversion, in terms of converting our chances, yeah, basically. I'm new and already love here. Big up yourself. You take the bubble. I love that name. Don't listen to that guy. He's taking the bubble. The mouse here is nice and I love it. Well, if it's a nice bit of ASMR for you, then I'll continue doing it.
Hey, calma.
SA did miss about 44 seasons in the first few months of the season.
The Man United ones really ticks me off.
And you think I think there's a penalty in there as well. I'm sure if you did an in-depth one, I'm sure there were quite a few. The Ipswich game was weird. We played poorly and shot. We had such a high XG. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird game. I don't remember thinking that Ipswich are as bad as it
made it out to be.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That was already on there. Is this the right sheet, Dan? It's always the right sheet, Chairman. Manuel, thank you for tuning in. Scroll back to the beginning of the stream. I've just put the rules on there so you can have a look, make a judgment for yourself. My opinion is I think it's okay, but we'll see. And maybe they might need to make it by then, because I think that's when the draw for the Conference League is. So
the qualifying rounds,
So I imagine they probably would. Worst miss of the year. Ooh. You know what one was really bad, actually, and thankfully it didn't really amount to too much, was actually Munoz's one against Newcastle, I thought, just before half-time.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bad one. Obviously, the Eze penalty miss wasn't great, but...
I think there was also one Sarr against Villa, and I don't think that harmed us either, but it was whipped in towards the back post, and he slid at the back post and missed. I think it was Villa. It may have been Newcastle as well, actually. It was definitely a home game.
Oh, I think was that did Tyre Mitchell do that? I feel like I remember Mitchell doing that as well, but that was in. Oh yeah, no, Alex is right. That was in the cup, so maybe. I mean, to be honest, our conversion rate was so bad that it's probably multiple examples. Cozzy, if you're talking about the UEFA thing, there are other teams, but I think the difference is before the deadline they had transferred things over, so I think that's why it's maybe a bit different, but. We'll see. At the end of the day, none of us know any more than you do, to be honest. So yeah. Right. What should we talk about next?
Can I talk Tyrick Mitchell?
Yeah, go on then.
All right, hold on. So first things first, I need to share this. Bear with me, I'm very new to this tactics board. I don't know if I can zoom in anymore, so hopefully this is big enough, guys. But Tyrick Mitchell, what I've done is I've kept the starting lineup from the final to prove my point, because obviously things improved later on in the season. But obviously with Kamada there, it could have been Hughes, it could have been Lerma, etc., etc. All right, I'm going to start off with earlier on in the season. Now, I would have loved to get some actual still images. I didn't have the time, I'll be honest with you. But just to look at how we were setting up when we were playing up from the back. Now, we would have tended to obviously give it to Mark here, and then obviously Mark would then look for Mitchell. The issue I found that we had, though, is look at Mitchell's starting position. It's literally level with the 18-yard box, which had a really, really bad knock-on effect for the rest of the team. And I think this is part of the reason why, especially at home, we couldn't build up play as well as we would have liked to and stuff. There's going to be a different segment I'll go to, which shows how we remedied that. And it was very clever what Glasner had the midfielders do, but I'll go into that a bit later. So this is what tend to happen, especially earlier in the season. Ebbs will tend to drop off, which meant that Mateta would want to go long. Sarr would then tuck in just in case. And we obviously knew that Munoz was going to be here. The issue with that is that literally all that would happen is that centre back's got Mateta, the right back's gone into Ebbs, and now there's an overload, a massive overload in midfield, because obviously the covering players will then tuck in, and Mitchell's got literally no options. Now, one of the biggest issues we had with Mitchell, especially earlier on, is that he passes in one direction. And do you remember what direction that was, Dan?
Backwards.
Backwards and stuff. So this is what we were kind of facing to start off with. And I think what teams were doing is they knew Munoz was the threat. So they would set up to make sure that if anyone's going to get the ball, it will be Tyreek Mitchell. And it happened time and time again. So what Glasner then did, going as the season went on, he had Mitchell go up here. Why is there... Oh, it's because I thought the Ezzy was for the white icon. Right. Much better starting position. All right. The midfielders haven't changed what they've done. This time Richards has gone up a bit. Same format. Now Mitchell's got the ball here. It's going to go into something Dan's going to say, but I'm not going to say too much about it. But where was Eze's position now?
Well, he tended to drop a bit deeper.
Yeah, it was there, which meant that we still had the problem. We couldn't play down the left-hand side. It was really, really, really a big problem for us. To the point where even some were thinking, oh my gosh, we need to get a new left back in. Does he need a rest? Is he tired? There were just so much issues down our left-hand side. Unfortunately, we became predictable because then we started going down the right-hand side a lot, and there was no balance. This is a big problem down our left-hand side, and we struggled with it badly, to start off with. Then Ben Chilwell joins the club. And this is where it got a bit interesting, because Mitchell's starting position all of a sudden was here, which meant that these players got forced back. And what Mark did really well, I thought he started doing now, is doing what he's actually good at. He started running with the ball. He's actually surprised, he's actually decent at beating a man. The reason behind that, he was more confident, especially when Richards came back into the side, that if something had gone wrong, those two are okay. They're okay. And because of that, because of Mitchell's high position, and as Dan will allude to, that meant Ebbs was higher. And now you look at the difference in where players, the defending team, are on the pitch. It makes such a difference. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yeah. Let's make sure I've got the numbers. Because now Munoz is there. The Sarr, it's just so much better. And then I'll put JP up here. All of a sudden, and it's not just Mitchell's positioning. You know what? I want to give massive credit to Glasner for. His ability to convince Ty to dribble down the line, to pass forward. And I think I even seen dribble past a man against Liverpool. Like that Liverpool performance was man of the match for me against Liverpool away, you know. And all of a sudden, because he's doing that, a lot of players started to fall asleep on Ebbs. Ebbs was now starting to pick up little pockets, you know. So one, I'm going to give it obviously the side of Chilwell, massive influence on it. But just imagine how he started the season there. I mean, even further back, that's where he was picking up the ball most of the time.
Yeah.
To him now picking up the ball here. We all know that Munoz is going to be up here anyway. Like, even if Glasner said to him, be down here, Munoz is here. Like, we just know about that. So yeah, that's the element I wanted to talk about with regards to Ty. I won't say anything more about Ebbs, but when you have had your Ebbs segment, I will say why Ty being high helped Ebbs a bit as well. So I'll chime in on that. Okay,
because actually, I think that segues really, really nicely onto the bit about Ebbs actually. So I feel like, so I mean, this was something I think got noticed relatively early on in the season. Now, the only thing I would actually want your opinion on, do you think? Because I feel like sometimes I feel like there were. I didn't think it was particularly effective, but I think the reasonings why Glasner asked them to do that. So let's put them in the places where they are, etc. Let's put them over there, etc. Here, let's say something like that. Because I feel like that. I feel like the injury of Adam Wharton was a really big thing, because I feel like I don't know if it's because Chilwell came that he started pushing up higher, or whether it's because, you know, suddenly Chilwell was there, so therefore he wasn't having to do recovery training all the time, and so therefore he actually got proper, like, you know, wing back training, etc. For whatever reason it was, I wonder whether having, so, and this is no like disrespect to like Jefferson Lerma or Will Hughes or whoever, but when you've got, say, two players stuck on there, you got these players kind of tucking in and so on and so forth, and then you got these two players over here, and effectively playing against teams that are really blocking that middle out. When it does come to Ty, and they know that he, you know, isn't very good, I wonder how much of that was part of that. And I wonder if, and this is where like the bit about Eze comes in, I wonder whether he purposely dropped here just to try and give like a man advantage over here, because they knew that we couldn't play through the middle. Because again, no disrespect to Lerma or Kamada or whoever, but, you know, them being able to actually, you know, pick the ball up and turn, I feel like, you know, that's not going to be very successful. And they know then if they shut down that right-hand side, you know, they can kind of line up a little bit like this and it's kind of all right. And also, I wonder whether some method to the madness as well was that, you know, they know that if Ebbs receives that, like let's say Gay does find a ball through there, they know that Ebbs will, you know, will receive attention from other players. So a part of me maybe thinks, did Glasner do it to try and, you know, push the other team over to the other side to try and draw them in onto that side, for then to have space for our danger side, which is Sarr and Munoz. I don't know. It's because I think it is plainly obvious that Ebbs definitely started off dropping deep and then eventually, you know, as the season progressed, then eventually played higher. But I don't know. Do you think that sounds reasonable, Rich? Like, as in, like the maybe like the method of thinking behind it.
I mean, I do think, obviously, in the sense of trying to get an overload. But can I be completely honest with you? I think that Eze just dropped deep because he wasn't getting the football.
You think?
Yeah, I think he was getting frustrated. You know. And it kind of ties in with that. Obviously, Ty's just playing so much deeper like obviously, like and don't forget with that, Sarr wasn't playing as great as well. He did.
Yeah,
He
that's
wasn't
true.
playing all the time, and he wasn't a threat. So teams were like, mark Eze out the game. This is done.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So that's what I do think it boils down to.
Yeah.
The inclusion of Adam Wharton definitely did help. I mean, I'm going to talk about the whole midfield aspect as well once you're done.
Yeah.
But I think Will Hughes did a good enough job of that whilst Wharton was out anyway.
Yeah.
You know, but once again, it looked as if like they then thought, oh, Hughes is the problem here. Let's block him out the game and let Lerma do it because Lerma's not as good a passer. You know, so there's certain things that we obviously teams did their homework. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like in those sort of 13 games, although I don't think we were as bad as the point suggested, we were a very easy team to play against, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, so Ebb's dropping deep, and then so if you want to, I'm done with Ebbs' bit now, and then I guess that can talk about how it can affect the rest of the midfield. You're muted, Rich.
Sorry, if you if you go for a few more comments, if there are any, I'm just setting up the tactics practice.
So the XG stuff. Well, in terms of, you know what I would say in terms of in terms of like teams improving, I think a lot of the mid-table teams definitely improved. I mean, to see like Bournemouth, for example, in the top three most, the most like created chances and things like that. Certainly, I think this season's been quite tight. In terms of the middle, I would say anywhere from say third and fourth to like 12 to us. I mean, looking at the table, if I remember correctly, I've just typed in table and IKEA came up rather than the BL table. I mean, between say actually that is quite a lot to be fair, but like between 10th, let's say, and 5th. So a Champions League spot. There was only 10 points in it, which, it sounds like a lot, but in seasons gone by, it's normally way more than that. And I think, there's a lot of element of the promoted teams not being that great. And also, there wasn't really like any standout teams apart from Liverpool. Like Arsenal only got 72 points, which is quite low for a second place team. So in terms of that, I would say this season perhaps. But it would be interesting to see like how other teams changed. But I would like to think that we're probably in one of the most improved teams, I would say, and especially since we got more points this season as well. Mary, and you know what, Mary, I think that is a good point about the UEFA thing. I don't understand why they would make an example of us. For me, I feel like it would be quite a harsh decision. Kevin, big up yourself. Doesn't care about anything apart from retaining 12th spot next season. Whatever tactics that keeps 12th is winning. I don't know how many more points we could have got and stayed in 12th, but maybe we can break our record again and finish 12th. Big up, Jordan. Durf is saying Rio Cardines is an under 21s player in defence. Admittedly, seems good in the Trinidad team. Versus Jamaica, but honestly, Trinidad 100 to 200. I've watched him in a few of the youth games, and you know what? I like what I see. I think he's quite a good player. He's only young as well. I think he's only 18. So, and same with Mustafa as well. Like I think players getting international caps, regardless of how good the team is, I think is good for someone that age because they're playing senior football. It does. I don't think it really matters what the quality of the league is in that sense. But getting them at that age, I think is excellent. 7 across the black, low block is a good starting position for us. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it felt like that, especially in the final. True about Chilwell sharing the force with Mitchell. Yeah, and I think as well, just having him there, it means that he can, he can not have to recover all the time, basically.
Yeah. So I'm going to share screen again. I'm going to be talking about how the midfield played a part in just the re-emergence of not just Mitchell but Ebbs, and how that helped Sarr get into the game and us being able to progress the ball a lot better. So let me move the football here. So obviously the previous graphic we had sorry, trackpads are so hard to use at times. We had Mitchell here previously, and I've got him starting here for a reason, because this is what one of the midfielders did, or the midfielders started to do, especially more so to Mitchell's side because there's more trust with Munoz, but I think it was so key. So let's just say Gay's got the ball. Previously, we said that he would run with the ball and stuff, but now there's something that we ended up doing which was completely different to it. And it was doing that, whether that was Hughes, Lerma, Kamada, obviously Wharton on this side. Like I said, Wharton not as much needed to, but the key to that now is this attacking foot, whether right wing or whatever, has got a problem now. Got a problem, because then if he decides to go, there's the gap for Mark to run into. Right? Let's just say he doesn't go. The pass is on to Kamada. And then they're out again. But what we did utilize, one, I think we did it in the cup final, is because of this aspect of it, what Wharton would do, which I found was very clever, is he would then come into that gap right here. And now there's a problem, because that's all the team's going to do. Because then Sarr will drop into this area here. Ebbs will drop into here. Now there's problems. They have got problems defensively. They're all over the gaff. And what did we tend to do if we need to get out? If we couldn't get out through Kamada and out, we can now clip one into Mitchell, who's higher up the pitch. I believe the Fulham game, if memory serves me right, let me just move some of these players back. In fact, I'll move everyone back. Borrow the cookie. Work with me. Or not. There we go. Too far.
Oh.
Anyway, this works. If we look at the goal in the FA Cup for Fulham, Lacroix had the ball there. Look at where Mitchell's starting position was. And these little differences, which definitely helped. Let's go to the FA Cup final goal. Which,
do we have to?
Why not? Why not? Okay, so bear with me. I'm just going to set this up. Just quickly, Dan, just thoughts on that whole aspect of getting the midfielder to...
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was something that I noticed, pretty early on. I don't know why it really sticks with me, Lerma doing it. Like, I guess because he played there quite a lot, but because I did wonder why they're doing it. I wonder if it gives the opponent, an opportunity to either stick or twist. Do they follow that player who's dropped off and then frees up space in the middle, or do they ignore Kamada and just kind of, or whoever it is, and then pass it out wide? And I think, and also, to be honest, I think that's something that I really like about Glasner and our system, is that we don't just have like one way of playing, because like sometimes you'll see teams where they just pass around and pass around and pass around in like a horseshoe shape. But at least with us, I can actively see, like, if there isn't anything on, I can see, okay, that player will drop off, and then Wharton will kind of act as like a single pivot in the middle, whatever. Or Eze will drop, or whoever like that, or Gay will move into the midfield, and that's something that I really like about our system, and I really enjoy watching. And it seems to be, and I feel like the majority of everything we do is to kind of free up that right hand side. So whether it's whether that pulls players to that, like if Kamada pulls off over there, does he he's pulling the opponent with him, potentially. and then that's dragging their team a bit over, and then that does leave space for Sarr and Munoz to kind of do their thing. That's what I always felt like the midfield battle was always like, and then obviously Wharton coming back and being that player who can just be in that middle. He's so press resistant that if he receives the ball under pressure, like I've got every confidence that he'll get out of it.
No, absolutely. Just looking at the cup final goal, obviously, look, for 15 minutes we were under pressure, under immense pressure, and it's almost as if Glazer said, "Keep playing out the back to set the traps," because the one time we did eventually get out of it, we scored from it. So obviously Henderson passing to Mark. City have got a high. They're high already. They're ready for it. It gets played into Lacroix, and they've all shuffled as they would naturally do so. Then gets played into Richards, and then Wharton does something which I thought, oh, that's clever, because as it stands, this shape's perfectly fine for Man City. They're like, yeah, you're not getting out of this, and I think they also expected now for Richards to go straight down the line to Munoz. But what helped Richards and what helped change the way we set this up is that Wharton sprinted into this gap here. And I think he sprinted past, I don't know if that was Bernardo Silva, but he actually sprinted past them to get into this space here. Okay, I moved it on over. Anyway. Now, that's dragged another player in. And funny enough, Richards lobs it up to Mateta, and all of a sudden, Kamada is now an option. Hey. Kamada's now an option, right? Oh, I've actually clicked. That's why I clicked save. Sorry. So Kamada's an option. And if memory serves me right, because obviously they've gone long now, they've kind of gambled. So it's now set to obviously Mateta, who's got it back. And it's funny because Sarr actually isn't involved in the game whatsoever. But because now Munoz is up here, and when Mateta releases the ball back to him, we've now got runners. 1, 2, 3, and going back to the star guy who has been absolutely killing it in this the final third of the season. Even Mitchell is trying to get into the box, which says it all. And all of the, remember, City's players aren't quick. They were struggling, absolutely struggling. But it's all stemming from now our midfielders. Once our centre back has the ball, one's going to the left and one holds the middle, or vice versa, which I think is quite key.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my second aspect. So I've talked about Mitchell. I've talked about the midfield too. I am going to highlight Daichi Kamada later on.
All right.
His emergence.
Nice. I'm going to go on not a tangent, but I'm going to go back to the back three. Now, we did kind of touch on this in the season review, which you haven't watched. If you haven't watched, go back and watch it. Why is it not there? Why aren't you there? And I want to touch on it basically about Whoa, can we see that? So these are the 7 back threes that we had in this. So obviously, if you watch the season review, you'd have seen something similar before. But effectively, what we have is, these 3 players in this configuration. So this is the right-hand side. This is the left-hand side. That is the left-hand side. And obviously, this is in the middle. Anson in the middle. Blah, blah, blah. Effectively, we have 3 different configurations. And it wasn't until we get all the way down here after the Forest game, played Spurs, beat them. And these 3 players, for the first time, we actually had consecutive defenses. Now, why is this important? Well, there are two things that I think are important about this. Firstly, obviously the way we play, the defense is. I mean, it's again another Michael Owen point, but the defense is really important because the thing is, the way we defend also then sets up how we attack. It's not like we defend this way to stop goals. We defend this way to also score goals. Like you think about the way we play, a lot of the time, let's say, I don't know, the other team's broke, they're on the break or whatever. And I don't know, let's say we win the ball in this midfield here, and whatever. So then their team kind of looks like this. Well, obviously, if we win the ball here, that's good for us because we can then counter. Now, the effect of this had on the defense is that defensively, I don't think we were very good. We were very passive, and I think the problem is that because we were passive, we basically ended up in this kind of defensive shape very regularly, which we still do. But the problem was that because we were more often in this kind of shape, it was very difficult for us to break out. And obviously, we were still trying to kind of like figure out how we actually transition and stuff like this. So the fact that we were penned back in this position for much longer kind of means that, we had less opportunities to actually counter properly. And also, I think when we did, we were very passive. So like effectively, and I know JC will love this if he's watching, but is zonal marking effectively because you got players here, and let's say you do have these players here. Okay, these players are all picking up, but if you got someone in, say, in the right side, or maybe like someone drops off, well, suddenly they're not. But the problem was, and I don't know if it's because of the ever-changing backline or whatever reason, but they just weren't. You got to be aggressive. So, like, let's say that, I don't know, this striker here drops off, and then there's a gap there, and they receive the ball. Whoever's marking them needs to push out, and we just weren't doing that in the beginning. Whether that's also because maybe we had Joachim Andersen rather than Maxence Acquire, or so on and so forth. Whether it's because of the personnel or because they're unfamiliar, I don't know. But they need to do that, and they just didn't do that. Can't remember any specific examples, but they were very passive.
It's funny you say that though, because I think even with Lacroix, I think earlier on in this season, I think he did that too much.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a bit too aggressive. I think Forest away was one of those where I think they realized he kept coming out to be aggressive, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then they just will bounce it, and there's a massive gap.
Yeah,
and obviously as he got used to his centre back partnership, he was so much more comfortable in being able to be aggressive and stuff, which was good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and obviously, we can be aggressive because, okay, let's say Maxence Acquire does go in there, and let's say he does get turned. If he does get turned, we've still got 4 defenders there. I mean, it is a bit of a ball ache, but all they've got to do is just cover over. Hopefully, one of the other players gets back, and so on and so forth. But yeah, and I think there was a lot of passiveness there, and also as well, just like the way we set up, and I think partially as well, like when we were here and we were kicking out, and you had these 3 players. Sorry, not those 3. Sorry, these 3 players here. They didn't really have that role. And then also as well, like you had Mark Gay playing in the middle, which I don't think he really suited that role at all. And yeah. Okay, here's a question for you, Rich. Do you think we were better before or after Trevor Chalobah got recalled by Chelsea?
This is going to be such a sit on the fence sort of answer. Defensively, much better, but we couldn't envision that because Richards was injury prone, and we knew that he didn't play well on the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to be fair, I think the turning point for Chris Richards was what happened to him with Sancho at home against Chelsea. After that, he said, "No. I ain't getting spun again. You know, but on the attacking front, we were better with Chalobah. We were, but then credit to Chris because obviously towards the back end of the season, he's been good going forward as well. So I would say overall, yes, but I don't want to like negate the fact that Chalobah in an attacking sense was really, really crucial for us.
Yeah, no, he definitely was, and obviously like from set pieces as well. Like he scored 2 goals, so in half a season, so that's a very decent return for us. And also as well, like I think let's go back to this one. Like you look at the players who are here, right? I kind of feel like it's very interesting because okay, Riyadh on the left-hand side, you know what? I'm actually so upset about Riyadh because I actually thought that was a really good bit of business, knowing that Mark would probably go and he was hoping to get a full season. I think that was a massive shame. But like you look at like, for example, when Lacroix came in, now, if you, like, let's say Richards got injured, the natural thing that we would do now is to have Max in the middle. You know, you'd swap these two over, wouldn't you? So one thing I do find very interesting to begin with was Glasner playing Lacroix on the left and then on the right. I wonder if the reason for this, and this is I guess this is me saying Glasner's a really good adaptable manager again, but I wonder if because last season Klein was basically effectively like going forwards. He was like another right back, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think let's go back to the tactics board very quickly. Like what you'd find is that, you know, Klein, rather than having Sarr being that sort of secondary player, you'd have, you know, Elise and Eze were very close.
Yeah.
You'd have Mitchell holding the width, so would Munoz, and then you'd have, say, you know, I know it's Richards, but you'd have Nathaniel Klein effectively having that Sarr running through there kind of thing. And I wonder if the original plan was to have Lacroix being that guy, because, like I said, now we wouldn't even think about putting Lacroix anywhere else but the middle. And I think it's very interesting how Glasser did reconfigure that and effectively found the best thing for him, because I think Lacroix, with that pace, we're able to play a high line. And the thing is, if you can then play that high line, then what that means is, you know, you can play a mid block instead. And obviously the effectiveness of having a mid block where you feel comfortable because Lacroix is quick and also Henderson's now quick off his line. The effect of that is if you win the ball here rather than over here, you've got so much less further to travel. So, and I think, and going back to what I said, the back three was so crucial in having a settled back three was so crucial because not only does it stop us conceding, but also it basically sets up how we then want to attack. And actually, I'm interested to know when Chalobah got recalled. What were our results after he got recalled? So he got recalled on the first. I know we did all right, to be fair, but yeah. But having that settled back three, I think, was so important. I'll just go through a couple more comments, and then Rich, you can go on to the next bit. Big up, Nikki. As already told Dan, the biggest risk throughout Euro. Oh yeah, I remember. I think we talked about that at Liverpool, didn't we? Is Tact isn't exactly diplomatic. From the sounds of what the quote said today, it seems like he is being. So I'm hoping that's, and also as well, like it wouldn't. I don't think it would be in his interest to be undiplomatic, because you know Europe's a big opportunity to take a club forward. And I feel like he wouldn't sacrifice that, but I don't know. He is a bit of a nutter, so maybe I'm wrong. Leon's a mess. Now, that would be a plot twist if we said you can't do it, but then Leon failed their financial regulation thing. Now, that really would be a plot twist. But I think at the end of the day, the argument is Texter only has 25% of voting rights, So therefore, the question is, does he truly have decision-making power at Palace? Personally, I don't think so. My worry is that last year, Tex Battle in French UEFA wouldn't mind giving him a kick. Yeah, possibly. French football particularly doesn't seem to like him. Outside possibility, yeah, I'd like to think so. Gurav, don't know. We don't really know anything of it. I mean, the only people that will know people in that meeting with the club and UEFA today. If you want more information, go back to the very beginning of the stream. The rules are on there. There aren't many rules, and they're intentionally, I think, quite vague. Have a look, make your own conclusion. Personally, I'm not worried. I don't think we've done anything wrong, but that depends how they want to interpret it.
Absolutely. Right. Let me see. Where is this? There it is. Right. Daichi Kamada. So, at the beginning of the season, he was employed as in the front line, whether on the left or the right, depending on injuries and stuff. Look, let's not sugarcoat anything. He found it tough. He found it very tough. And mainly because he's so used to playing on the left that when he did play on the right, his initial instinct was still, I need to cut in. And he would always come into traffic. It affected obviously Munoz because Munoz would be bombing down the line as per usual. But then Kamada's not really an option because he would I've seen times where he's meant to be on the right and he's drifted here. It was so isolated down the right hand side at times. I can't remember which game it was, but then he played centre mid. I think it might have been Leicester. I think he came on there with Decore. I could be wrong. But it kind of was like, oh, actually, hold on. No, sorry. Before that, we had the Fulham game. Where he did come on. He played in the middle, didn't he? For that one.
Yeah.
And so let's just do this. Here's where Kamada had.
So we got sent off for the.
Yeah, he got sent off. Now, I'm not solely blaming him, but because I think Mateta's layoff was terrible. But all round, his game wasn't good. And this is what he found difficult. He would tend to want to drop off and pick up the ball. And his natural inclination is to be able to turn. The problem is, this is the Premier League. You're just running into cul-de-sacs and blind alleys and stuff. And he found it difficult time and time again where he couldn't get out. And we're losing the ball in ridiculous places. And it was very concerning. Very, very concerning. However, I think that turning point for me was the Leicester away game. I believe, like I said, it was him and Chet Decore. And he came on, it's either that or it might be Villa. And he had a very, very good game in centre mid. Because what he did, he went to basics. He didn't worry so much about his passing ability. He worried about being able to intercept passes and making tackles. He still needs to work on the slide tackling because he slides and he's never near it. But what he did very well, and it's kind of reminiscent of, I say, Michael Carrick back in the day for Man United. He doesn't also make tackles, but he just found himself being in the right place. The amount of times that balls are trying to be played up to the front man, bypassing their 10, and he's got an interception in. The amount of times he's done that. Obviously, like I said, whenever we're building up from the back, he will find himself down on the left-hand side, picking the ball up. And now he's got the confidence now to actually dribble with the ball and stuff, take on a player. That Villa semi-final, he was outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
He was so good. But I want to highlight one factor as to why Daichi Kamada became so pivotal for us and so good. And it is Adam Wharton. The reason being, and I think this is why I think Glasner will go with this going forward. Glasner wants our fullbacks, and he wants our fullbacks high, and he wants our attackers getting the ball early. Let me bring Sar back into play. He wants to get the ball forward. He says it all time and time again, it's all about scoring goals. Both of these players now, and to be fair, Will Hughes does it well as well, are very good at finding an early pass. There were times earlier on where Kamada will, especially when he was playing the 10 role, love to play it back and play it safe. Now he's fizzing footballs in fast and forward. And the thing is, the reason why I think this has worked is because it's given the midfield a problem. The problem being, let's say Richards pushes up. He's taking a player away. Mark's taking a player away. Obviously, we're happy with Lacroix going 1v1 here. But Adam Wharton takes 2 players.
Yeah, I agree.
They are so worried about Adam Wharton that all of a sudden, Daichi Kamada, and I said he's very good at picking up little pockets, and he's always asking for the ball. You see it? He's now in pockets of space. And now, where they're worried about Wharton being the conductor, Daichi then became the conductor, and he played that role so well. So I like having a destroyer and a ball player, but if we're going to do it in this way where we can intercept passes and not necessarily beat tackles, I am not mad at this style of midfield too. Because like I said, if it gets the football up the field quicker, we have a better chance of scoring. The only thing that's going to hinder this is what happens with Chet Decore and whether or not he gets back to match fitness. Because if he does, I'm sorry, Daichi. I think you've played extremely well. But Chet Decore is best. I think there's no one that touches him.
Yeah, I think
I just want to give Daichi his flowers because I think it was very good.
No, absolutely, and I think as well, like I said, he had a difficult start to the season. People even questioning Glasner himself, like, he wanted him and he's crap or whatever. But he dropped. There's a Brighton fan, right, on Twitter who now isn't on. I follow him, like he's all right, but well, one of his things he used to always like reply to me was like, come on, it's terrible. He's never going to be good. Blah, blah, blah. And as soon as he started doing that, he started dropping 10s. But yeah, no, Kamada's had a real meteoric rise in a way. Yeah. And you know what? Having a headache for next season, check Kamada. And then you got Will Hughes, who, at points this season, people were like, he's been our best player.
Yeah, I had the best player this season at once.
So, and then you got Lerma, who he can do a job and thing. And
this is where it gets so interesting, and I think we're going to talk about. So you finish. I was going
to say, like, the good thing about Sheikh Decore and pretty much all of those players is that they maybe, but they Sheikh Decore can play both of those roles. I think quite comfortably. Hughes can. He's done that. Lerma can to an extent as well. They both can play in those slightly different midfield roles. And yeah, I think that's going to be such a good headache to have next season.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question because Chet Decore may or may not be utilised as a new signing, but we are linked with another centre midfielder, which means we'll have 5. Now, is that a case where Lerma officially drops back into as a defensive player from now on, or do we keep it as 5?
I think I think I feel like the good because I feel like assuming like this whole thing with Europe is fine and stuff like that, like we're going to be playing a lot of games next year, so I think getting another midfielder I don't think is a bad idea. Because it said like Lerma can like we need another centre back and Lerma can play centre back.
Yeah.
So would I be happy with Lerma only being a centre back? Yeah, you know what, I would, because I think he plays those roles well. He did that last season under Glasner when we went on that really good run, and he's done that this season both on the left and the right hand side. I agree with Durfez, like very much a squad player now. But if you've got squad players that can cover multiple positions, if you're playing in Europe, that's a really useful thing to have. Well, what would you do?
No, I think let's utilize. We've got 3 centre backs. Riyad's not back until Jan, so we've only got 3 centre backs.
Yeah,
have Lerma as the 4th, sign 1. So that's 5. And then when Riyad comes back, at least we have 6. Kleiny could be that cover centre back for the meantime until Riyad's back.
Yeah.
Then, beside a centre midfielder, let's have 4 there again. Once again, if there's issues in the midfield, Lerma could fill in there. Deveni could fill in there. But let's have 4 starting midfielders. And then, worst case scenario, I still think we need attacking depth, but we've still got França, Deveni, Esse, Ebbs, Mateta, Sarr, that can all play in that attacking role. Yeah. So even though I think we need to strengthen there too.
Yeah, I agree with what you said yesterday or the day before. Like I do think some more experience would go really well there. Even if they're just maybe like I think the quality is okay. I think it's just like the depth and the experience. I think is I agree is a bit of a worry there. But
I think we should exploit that free transfer market, because I even forgot about Carl Walker-Peters.
Yeah.
I think we should be all over that.
Angel Gomez.
Angel Gomez is another one.
Like, I don't know how much people watched Lille or England under Lee Carsley, but like he is like metronome player. I would actually argue we would need more. I feel like that the left hand one with Kamada, Czech can play there, Hughes can play there. I feel like that side is okay. It's the metronome player, because realistically, if Wharton does get injured, and let's say Czech, there's no guarantees that he'll be back to fitness.
Yeah.
If Wharton gets injured, it's squeaky bum time, in my opinion, especially when you're playing good teams. So I think getting like a metronome player like Angel Gomez, that would be, I think that would be
so good, really
good. But we'll that'll be, if there's any rumours or anything like that, there has been some circulating around Transfer Weekly, which we are currently babysitting for JC. Pun intended. But yeah, that's Rich. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on Tact-Eagle. This is you and JC's baby and stuff. I will probably order a mouse myself because it's easier to navigate.
Make sure you get one that clicks really quietly. Apparently.
I'll make sure. But other than that, listen, what an end to the season, to be honest. And
absolutely.
Yeah, look, we'll just wait patiently for this news, which I'm sure will be okay. And then I think hopefully after that we can actually start going into the transfer window and looking at targets.
No, absolutely. And in terms of Tact-Eagle, there'll be a Q&A at some point in the summer. It'll just be like a general one, so it's not specific to this season or next season. So it'll just be at some point. I'm sure we'll do like if we do actually buy any players, I hope so. I will do a like an in-depth thread on them. So if you're on Twitter, have a look on there. They will be there. Trying to think if there's anything else. And I imagine there'll probably be a Tact-Eagle looking at how the new players will fit in and all this kind of stuff later down the line. But before we round out, I'm just going to put this back there. That really is an impressive goal. The ball up to Mateta, the centre forward play to hold it up, then the running off the ball from Munoz, then the quality to pick his head up and pick the right pass into Eze. And could he finish it off? Absolutely. Keeper's got no chance. That is Crystal Palace in a nutshell. And with that, up the Palace. Eagles. And thanks everyone for watching.
Like and subscribe.